This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Welcome back to the Research Talks podcast here on Stockbox, where here we are, another week has passed by, and what a difference it is, certainly for me over in the Netherlands. Last week was beautiful blue sky and hot sun coming in. I'm looking outside and it's snow. 2 inches of snow have fallen overnight and it's freezing. So I don't know what it's like in the UK. We have snow, yeah. I thought we might have avoided it this year, Alan, but it's here.
Well, it's a strange thing. We had a flurry yesterday here, and it was this morning we had brilliant sunshine, blue skies, but icy cold again. Yeah, so certainly cold enough for snow. And well, if you've got it there, it's I guess it's almost inevitable that we're going to get it this weekend. But it's strange, isn't it? As you say, I mean, we were literally out in the garden last weekend. I'm out mowing the lawn. Thinking, great, here comes summer, and here we are, back into the depths of winter again.
Back to the depths of winter again, yes, and it was certainly fun last night for me. I was cycling back late from, I was out, and I had driving snow in my face all the way on my bike, which was first for me. It was very unpleasant, half an hour cycling, but I made it home, rather wet and cold.
Yeah, I can imagine. Goodness me.
Indeed, well, hopefully it's short-lived. I have a feeling it's very short-lived here now from what I'm reading, so... That's
yeah, we often get these flurries, don't we? Sort of end of March, early April, and then Easter's 2 weeks away. We may be on the beach at Easter. Who knows?
Yeah, indeed. Excellent. Okay, so today you're going to be talking to us about Kavango Resources, who of course have switched their focus now to Ditau, and yes. Blencowe, who we have spoken about before, but it was a little while ago. So we'll catch up on what's going on at Blencowe. So. Yes, over to you, Alan. Which one would you like to take first?
Well, let's start with Kavango, of course. Kavango Resources. So these are really today we're looking at two companies based in Africa. Kavango, of course, based in Botswana, and Botswana is highly regarded as by the Fraser Institute as one of the best countries to mine in the world. A very stable and benign political incumbent there, and a country that is full of mineralogy and opportunities for mining companies to develop various projects. And Kavango certainly has a great clutch of those. There are three primary projects, and obviously Ditau, as you mentioned, Mark, is the latest development there. Just a bit on the company first of all. Shares currently trading just below 3p, giving the company a market capitalization of 11.5 million. Has been as high as 6.5p on the year, as low as 2.7p. So of course. We are just off the low reaches of the range, and it's a strange anomaly in mining, but I think particularly so at the moment, given the disparity between the share prices of mining companies and commodities. We're seeing companies develop their assets and prove up their assets, adding value to the investment proposition, but the share price not only isn't reacting, it often goes the other way, and of course it gives credence to the old saying in the markets that it's often better to travel than to arrive. But we haven't arrived with either of these companies yet, and certainly with Kavango there's an enormous amount of potential. So just onto the I think what Ben Turney, chief executive, and his team would say is the flagship project for Kavango. That is of course the Kalahari Suture Zone, which is in the southwest along the western edge of the Capveld Craton between Botswana and South Africa, and this is this asset has been modelled over the years. It's a huge geological anomaly. There are numerous prospecting licenses over some 8,500 square kilometres, and as the the ground and the airborne magnetic surveys have been undertaken, as sampling work and ground mag surveys have been undertaken, a picture has emerged of a huge geological anomaly under the ground that has been likened in its geology and its construction to the Norilsk mine in Siberia. And of course, Norilsk mine, the Norilsk mine produces 90% of Russia's nickel, 55% of its copper, and on the global stage, it was producing 20% of the world's nickel. So, of course, given Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the sanctions, that was effectively taken out of the picture. So we saw, of course, the spike in nickel prices and the spike in other metal prices, particularly the metals for the new environment, which contains, of course, electric vehicles, clean tech, clean energy, and so on. And the Norilsk mine has been taken out of the picture. So, of course, there is now an increased demand and an inevitable supply squeeze. But I think in terms of supply squeeze, we're just right at the start of this. The appetite for battery metals over the next few years is huge, and there is massive pent up demand to find and locate new assets. And certainly, if Kavango can push on with the KSZ Kalahari Suture Zone asset and prove it up and develop it into a mine, then it could make a huge contribution to that. But a number of drilling work and a number of drill holes have been undertaken at the KSZ over the years, over the past year. And what we have seen in recent months is sampling returning to Kavango. On March the 3rd, the company announced a petrology report and an initial report from SJT Metmin Services, which referred to 10 drill core intersections, all of which were prospective for nickel, cobalt, and copper mineralization. Ben Turney, the chief exec, said, of course, it was a step forward for the company. They're waiting for the full petrology report. So all of the drill holes have been located on a very small area within the KSZ, but certainly the early indications are that what has been modelled there on underground is being proved up through the sampling that's been taken. But of course, there's an awful long way to go. It's got to be proved up and drilled again before the company can really put together a maiden resource estimate for the asset that's under the ground there. But hugely important and hugely significant on the world stage. If as they go forward, these steps are proven up. So that's the KSZ. So there are two other core assets that are owned by Kavango. The second are a series of licenses and agreements in the Kalahari Copper Belt, and the Kalahari Copper Belt extends for nearly 1,000 kilometers from northeastern Botswana to western Namibia, and it's copper mineralization along an area known as the Ganzi Ridge, and the cover in the Kalahari over the assets under the ground is pretty thin here. There are two agreements here. January 2 years ago, or just over 2 years ago, Kavango signed a joint venture with Botswana company LVR Geo Explorers. Kavango can earn up to 90% interest in 2 prospecting licenses there. Requires a minimum spend on each of the prospecting licenses to achieve the interest, and then on as is normal with these sort of operations. So this is, of course, two assets highly prospective for copper. The second one is forms part of a strategic joint venture with Power Metal Resources, and of course, this is the company that's been formed, Kanye Resources, that owns 2 more licenses on the accessed by a paved road on the Gaborone to Ganzi Ridge via the town of Kang, and the assets work has been undertaken there, sampling and drill work, and again, the readings from the samples that have been taken there are very similar to those at the Sandfire project, which of course Paul Johnson at Power Metal was involved in at Metal Tiger, and of course that proved up into a significant asset. So again, there's a great deal of potential here for Kavango on the with the Kalahari copper belt asset. The third asset, of course, this is I wouldn't say it's been a back burner asset, but certainly it's not been an asset that's been at the forefront of Kavango's activity up till now. And that, of course, is the Ditau project, which is a series of geological anomalies or geophysical structures, should I say, which indicates, or that they are a series of magnetic rings, which could be indicative of rare earth elements. And of course, we've discussed rare earth elements over the past weeks, Mark, and plenty of companies have access to these assets. Of course, Cadence owns a section of the Yangibana rare earth project in Australia, and there is a real demand now, because China really owns most of the rare earth projects of any size. There is a real demand now to locate rare earth assets. Now, the company, of course, we've spoken about, Alterna Rare Earths, has a project at the Monte Moambe project that we discussed the other week, but this is a very interesting and challenging project for Kavango. It also forms with the Kalahari copper belt. Those 2 licenses I spoke about just now, the copper licenses, forms part of Kanye Resources, the joint venture between Power Metal and Kavango, and these geophysical structures at Ditau have been are well defined, and 9 of which in particular have been sort of well defined, sort of through airborne surveys, ground magnetic surveys, and so on. So these structures that have been identified, Kavango has now identified drill targets, and the diamond drill work that will be undertaken as the drilling campaign progresses over the next few weeks could reveal more. Well, hopefully, will reveal more of the structure the structures that are under the ground, so we'll get some confirmation of the potential there. But of course, rare earths, let's not forget, they are quite abundant, but the problem is that they're very sparsely located. So that they occur here and there. So it's very rare to get these concentrations of rare earths all together in one place. And of course, where you do, that's where it's economically viable to develop and mine the asset. And of course, if Ditau proves to be that, then it could be absolutely huge, because the prices of rare earths, along with the other battery metals, are going through the roof at the moment. So Kavango, of course, is well funded, well structured, and has these 3 projects underway at the moment. Certainly very excited to hear more about the KSZ and of course the drilling work from Ditau. There's a lot of work coming up in the near future, but I think given where the share price is now, the old modicum about being better to travel than to arrive. Well, we've travelled and we've arrived at the first phase, but I think the journey's beginning again, and I do believe that in the next few weeks, once once we start to get news filtering through. Certainly, there are two near-term pieces of news to watch out for. The first one is the full petrology report from the KSZ, which will be upcoming in the coming weeks, and also progress on drilling at Dittow. So either of these could really shake the share price up and start the share price moving towards the upper limits that it reached last year. Either way, a very exciting time for the company, and I think where the share price is now, it looks to be extremely good value.
Excellent, thank you for that. Very good synopsis there of the company across everything, Alan. And I do like Kavango. It is early stage. It is, of course, not without risk, but that's what makes this sector so exciting at the same time. We've got results due from the KSZ. Yes, I always get confused with the KSZ and the KCB.
Okay.
But yeah, the KSZ is what's been done, awaiting results, and then now on to Dittow. Yeah. And I do like the fact that the Power Metals are, of course, a joint venture on Dittow, and you've got Paul, who comes from more of a corporate point of view, and then Ben, who's slightly more technical. So actually, that's quite a good pairing. When you sort of look at the interviews we do, you can get two different angles on it. So I think that works quite well. So yeah, on to some more drilling over there and see if they can what that turns up. But it's
I think the KSZ is it's so exciting because the comparisons with Norilsk. If you go to the Kavango website, you can see a lot of the geo models and that comparison with the Norilsk mine. Of course, this is a huge producing mine, still producing now. So if we can resolve this dreadful situation in the Ukraine, then of course the product from that will re-enter the world market. But nonetheless, we're still entering a supply squeeze because all of the EV manufacturers are gearing up to manufacture EVs and phase out the internal combustion engine. And I know I've used this before, but I think it's highly significant. Tesla have ambitions to build 20 million cars in a few years' time, and if they build 20 million cars a year, they will use 30% of the available nickel on the global market. So they'll hoover up 30% straight away just to build those cars. So that's just Tesla. So you think about that, and then you think about the other applications and the demand for nickel, you get some idea of where we're heading, because all the EV manufacturers will be ramping up to the same level, and the demand will be stronger than ever.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Well, moving on to the theme of course, energy metals, battery metals, Blencowe with graphite, haven't they?
Yes, indeed. Well, Blencowe have graphite, but they also, of course, have the new Kavango. That's right. I pronounced it correctly. The Kavango nickel sulfide and copper project, which strategically is just next door, if you can be just next door in Africa. But of course, Blencowe are based in Uganda. Again, a fairly benign political regime, and of course they've been developing over the past year the Orome Cross graphite project. Now again, graphite. Needs no introduction. It makes up some 40% of the weight of a lithium-ion battery, and is a critical part of battery, but also has a multitude of other applications. It's used of course in furnaces, in flame retardant and fire retardant applications. There's a whole raft of uses for graphite. And again, Blencowe has travelled, arrived, and taken a step back, but it also raised several million pounds late last year at 5p. So the share price really has been trading around that. It actually dipped below 4p at the start of the month, and is currently trading at 4.6p, but still gives the company a value of 7.5 million with two major assets on its doorstep. Orm Cross Graphite project, again, it's a vast area, some 2,000 square kilometers, not as big as the KSZ, of course, but the company owns the project outright. It owns this huge territory. So in an area less than 1% of the territory area, it has undertaken work to locate and identify high quality graphite, and this graphite is right up there with the very best in the world. They're delivering. They're in the process of delivering a pre-feasibility study on the project, having already undertaken a preliminary economic assessment last year, where just that little less than 1% area of the Orm Cross Graphite project proved up with an NPV8 number. That's of course the net present value number of $317 million, internal rate of return of 49%, and a 13-year mine life. And the quality of the graphite there, it's a high quality graphite that can be used in these batteries. But I think most significantly of all, and again, you just think of this in costing terms, some of the graphite, if you walked across the territory, is literally sticking out of the ground. Most of the graphite is some 20 to 25 feet below the surface, so you could effectively drive a tractor on a harrow across that ground and rake an awful lot of it up. So in terms of mining costs, the cost to run and develop the mine is absolutely minimal. So of course the profitability from the mine once it's set up is expected to be huge. It's expected currently to generate an EBITDA of some $40 million per annum, and that's assuming graphite sells at just over $1,000 per ton. I think it's going to be a lot higher than that in a few years, but that's just with the current area that's less than 1%. So Blencowe are now pushing ahead. They're developing Orm Cross to phase 3 mineralization and metallurgical test work, and we will have a pre-feasibility study from the team that are working there. That's battery metals. We'll have a pre-feasibility study number there from the team by the middle of the year, and I think once that happens, then we'll have that line in the sand. No doubt the share price will travel higher before that, and will probably come back on the news, as it often does, because investors take profits and jump out. But that's the first dimension to Blencowe, and the second dimension, as I mentioned just now, was the new Kavango nickel sulfide and copper project, and this is literally it's just across the road in relative terms in Africa speak, just across the road from the Orm Cross project, and this has been over the past few years, some 19,000 meters of drilling has been conducted by previous joint venture owners Rio Tinto and SEPA Resources. Of course, from Blencowe's standpoint, it's ideal because all the resources are based at Orm Cross, so it's a very easy, straightforward job just to pop up the road and complete work there. So we will also be seeing some work undertaken by the group on the Kavango project later this year. The team, of course, that run the company, Cameron Pierce. Cameron will be insulted if I call him a veteran, but he's certainly been around for many years in the industry. He's the chairman of the group. Mike Ralston is a South African fella. He's the CEO of the company. He's on the ground there, and he's very well respected and regarded in the industry. And I think Blencowe, with a market cap of $7.5 million, given the progress it's made already, given that it's proved it up to Orm Cross up to PA level, now working towards PFS level, I expect this company to explode value-wise in the very near term, because at this level, having already raised the money at a high level in the share price, at some point, the valuation gap between the assets on the ground, the price of the commodities, and the share price valuation on the AIM market, that will change dramatically. So I'm expecting a re-rating very near term.
Okay. Okay. So the Orem Cross, is that still the flagship? Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I think because of course the Orem Cross project has been developed, as a that they're looking to become a key battery metal supplier going forward. Of course, graphite is part of that, but with the Kalahari being adjacent to Orem Cross, nickel and copper are also two key elements. So if you can, as a mining group, produce graphite from Orem Cross, nickel and copper from Kalahari, then you can get them out to the port or ship them out by rail and then by sea. Then in terms of economies of scale, as a business, it makes total sense. And of course, some of the resources that are already on the ground at Orem Cross can be shared and utilised at Kalahari.
Yes. Okay, so Blencowe really positioning themselves in the battery metals space, really.
Very much so. Yeah. And I think graphite's often overlooked as a key component in battery metals, but it makes up 40% of the weight of a lithium-ion battery. So it's
lithium's a very small percentage.
It is. Yeah. I mean, therein lies the irony, And of course, there are numerous graphite projects around the world, but the graphite concentrate has got to be the right level to be suitable for the batteries, and that's already been proved up. The metallurgical test work has been undertaken, the lab work's been undertaken, and the quality is already there. It's and as I say, it's 2,000 square meters. It's a vast area. So of course you can't go out and just conduct an assessment of the whole area. That's simply not feasible. What you can do is where your focus is, where because I think when the team visited the camp, they located the high quality graphite literally some 250 meters from the main camp. So of course it makes sense. You've got everything on hand there to start there, conduct your initial assessment, develop the PEA from there, then develop the PFS, and then once you've done it there, and you've proven up, you've got the value in the assets there, then of course you can move on to other areas in the territory, of which I'm sure there are many.
Good. Well, thank you, Alan, for bringing us up to speed on Blencowe. That new project I was unaware of until you've introduced it there. So it's nice to see Blencowe expanding there with a second project. And yeah, going to want to keep an eye on for sure. But thank you very much, Alan, for again this week. And I do hope you don't get snow over the weekend. But if you do, we'll speak again next week, and no doubt it'll be super hot again. So thank you very much, Alan.
I'm aiming to be on the beach by Easter.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for your time, Alan.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.